Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
We ready to go on the record, Doug? Can you hear me, Doug?
Yes.
I think I see him there, so I'm assuming, Doug, you can hear me. I'm not hearing otherwise. We're going to start today's hearing. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. It's approximately 10 a.m. My name is Christine Burke. I'm a public utility law judge with the Maryland Public Service Commission. We're here today for an evidentiary hearing in case number 9743, which is captioned Croom Road Solar LLC's application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct a 5-megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Prince George's County, Maryland. Can I start with the appearances of counsel, beginning with the applicant, please?
Morning, Your Honor. My name is Colleen Collins on behalf of the applicant, and I would also like to enter the appearance of my colleague, Mr. David Begelmans.
Morning. For Power Plant Research Program?
Your Honor, Sandra McLemore on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program, and I'm here on behalf of Steve Paulson.
Ms. McLemore, you're a little, I'm not getting full volume. Do you have a volume?
I'm not getting her either, Your Honor. This
Yeah.
is Doug.
It's on full. So I believe I have it on full capacity. I'm not sure what else to do.
Okay, it's a little better if you're as you're closer, if you just speak up. Yeah. Okay, Doug, do you need her to repeat that, Doug?
I barely hear it, but if she could get closer and speak louder.
Good morning. My name is Sandra McLemore. I'm here on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program.
Thank you. Good, loud and clear. And for staff?
Good morning, Your Honor. Jennifer Purvis, Assistant Staff Counsel, appearing on behalf of staff.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm going to note for the record that on February 4th, 2025, the applicant filed a settlement status update agreeing to the conditions that were put forth by PPRP and staff. Since then, there's been supplemental testimony that's been filed, and on April 25th, PPRP filed revised recommended license conditions. My understanding is that Croom Road is agreeing to those revised recommended license conditions. Is that correct?
That's Your Honor.
Okay. And there's no dispute between the parties, so we can proceed with entering exhibits. If we could just start with the applicant, I did receive an exhibit list. If you want to run through those exhibits.
Yes, Your Honor. And just to clarify, applicant's Exhibit 1, the certificate of publication for the pre-hearing conference has already been entered into the record.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Honor. I will start with applicant's Exhibit number 2, applicant's petition, filed on June 11th, 2024, consisting of 10 pages under mail log number 310205.
Okay, marked as Exhibit 2.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 3, applicant's environmental review document, was filed on June 11th, 2024, consisting of 75 pages under mail log number 31025.
Okay, it'll be marked as applicant's Exhibit 3.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 4, applicant's appendices, filed on June 11th, 2024, consisting of 1,192 pages under mail log number 310205.
Okay, and that included appendices 1 through 29, and that will be marked as applicant's Exhibit 4.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 5, applicant's response to PPRP's first data request and associated attachments, was filed on June 11th, 2024, consisting of 238 pages under mail log number 310782.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicants,
Just one moment, hold on, that was. I believe that was July 11th.
oh, yes, Your Honor, I apologize for misspeaking.
That's okay. That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 5.
Applicants Exhibit 6, direct testimony of Clarence Pippin, filed on October 14th, 2024, consisting of 3 pages under mail log number 312859.
Okay, marked as applicant's exhibit 6.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicants Exhibit 7, the joint direct testimony of Dane S. Bauer and Melissa S. Hall, filed on October 14th, 2024, consisting of 18 pages under mail log number 312859.
Marked as applicant's exhibit 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicants Exhibit 8, applicant's facility decommissioning plan, was filed on October 14th, 2024, consisting of 26 pages under mail log number 312859.
Okay, that'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 8.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 9 is MDE Voluntary Cleanup Program, no further requirement determination cover letter. It was filed on October 14th, 2024, consisting of 3 pages under mail log number 312859.
It'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 9.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 10, MDE Voluntary Cleanup Program, no further recommendations determination, was filed on October 14th, 2024, consisting of 26 pages under mail log number 312859.
It'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 10.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 11, additional information requested by PRP was filed on November 24th, 2024, consisting of 21 pages under mail log number 313819.
Marked as applicant's exhibit 11.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 12, certificate of publication for the first public comment hearing, was filed on October 18th, 2024, consisting of 11 pages under mail log number 312997.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 12.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 13 is the updated project site plan and decommissioning plan. It was filed on January 16th, 2025, consisting of 28 pages under mail log number 314983.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 13.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 14, the certificate of publication for the second public comment hearing, was filed on January 30th, 2025, consisting of 15 pages under mail log number 315257.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 14.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 15 is the settlement status update that was filed on February 4th, 2025, consisting of 1 page under mail log number 315419.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 15.
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant's Exhibit 16 was the sign affidavit filed on February 4th, 2025, consisting of 7 pages under mail log number 315402.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 16.
Thank you, Your Honor. And finally, applicant's Exhibit 17 is a supplemental direct testimony of Clarence Pippin and associated attachments filed on April 29th, 2025, consisting of 23 pages under mail log number 318429.
That'll be marked as applicant's exhibit 17.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I respectfully request that applicant's Exhibits 1 through 17, or 2 through 17 be admitted into the record at this time.
Okay, with respect to exhibits 8 and 13, there are 2 portions of those exhibits that are related to the decommissioning plan. There's a decommissioning plan and then there's an attachment A. Is there a witness here to sponsor attachment A?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that the consultants for the applicant, Mr. Dane Bauer and Miss Melissa Hall, will be able to speak to that.
Okay. As far as the decommissioning plan, I could tell that they prepared that. I'm talking about attachment A, which was prepared by Stantec. Are they prepared to speak on that?
No, Your Honor. They did not prepare it, so I guess they would not be able to testify for that.
Okay, I'm going to reserve with respect to entering exhibits 8 and 13 until after I have an opportunity to ask some questions of witnesses Bauer and Hall. I anticipate that there may be questions that I have related to those attachments that they may not be able to answer. So I'm going to just hold off as far as 8 and 13 is concerned until after they testify. With respect to applicants exhibit 1 through 7, 9 through 12, and 14 through 17, those exhibits are admitted to the record.
Your Honor.
PPRP.
Your Honor, I have 12 exhibits. If you're prepared for me to go ahead and read them, and if you can hear me, is everything loud and clear?
I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm sorry.
As
Okay,
loud as you can.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. PPRP Exhibit 1 is the direct testimony of Supita Pikau, mail log number 315182, which was filed January 28th, 2025. If I
That'll
could
be
have it.
marked
Sorry.
as PPRP exhibit 1.
And PPRP Exhibit 2, DNR MDE Secretarial Letter, mail log number 315182, also filed January 28, 2025.
Marked as PPRP exhibit 2.
And if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 3, the initial recommended license conditions, that's mail log number 315182, filed January 28, 2025.
So marked.
And if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 4, the project assessment report, that's mail log number 315182, filed on January 28, 2025.
That'll be marked as PPRP exhibit 4.
And if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 5, the PAR Appendix A, which are the applicant's responses to selected PPRP data requests, that's mail log number 315182, also filed January 28, 2025.
So marked.
And if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 6, the PAR Appendix B, which is the glare analysis, that's mail log number 315182, also filed January 28, 2025.
So marked.
If I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 8, the PAR Appendix D, which is the reference sections of PPRP's website, mail log number 315182, also filed January 28, 2025.
That will be marked as PPRP exhibit 8, but I believe you skipped over exhibit 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 7, the PAR Appendix C, which is the EJ screen, mail log number 315182, filed January 28, 2025.
So marked.
If I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 9, the supplemental direct testimony of Supita Pikau, mail log number 318282, filed on April the 25th, 2025.
That'll be PPRP exhibit 9.
If I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 10, the revised recommended license conditions, the clean version, which is mail log number 318282, also filed April 25th, 2025.
So marked.
And if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 11, the revised recommended license conditions, the redlined version, mail log number 318282, also filed April 25th, 2025.
So marked.
And finally, if I could have marked as PPRP Exhibit 12, PPRP's response to bench data request number 1, mail log number 318698, and that was filed May 8, 2025.
And that will be marked as exhibit 12.
And at this time, Your Honor, if I could have these entered into the record.
Okay, and hearing no objection, I believe everybody's in agreement to stipulating to the exhibits. PPRP's exhibits 1 through 12 will be marked and are now entered into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And staff, do you have an exhibit?
Yes, Your Honor. Since we understand that you have no questions for staff's witness and the parties have agreed to stipulate to the entry of Mr. Lowe's testimony, staff asks that the direct testimony of Christopher Lowe filed on January 28th, 2025 as mail log number 315200, consisting of 9 pages of written testimony and 2 exhibits, be marked as Staff Exhibit 1 and moved into the record by stipulation.
Okay, and my understanding, there's no objection, so that will be marked and entered as Staff's Exhibit 1, and that is the direct testimony of Christopher Lowe.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, for the applicant, do you want to start with witness Pippin?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Clarence Pippin is here to represent the applicant.
Okay, Mr. Pippin, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
With regard to the project review by the Prince George's County Planning Board, there was a attachment to your supplemental testimony that was the transmittal letter for the case number that they reviewed, MRF 2024-001, and that I believe was sent to the applicant. To clarify, the Prince George's County Planning Board, they are in favor of the project so long as their recommendations are included.
That is correct, Your Honor.
On page 3 of your supplemental, you discussed the SHA and the right-of-ways that are located on the project site. Do you know whether Prince George's County will require something additional in writing from SHA to issue local permits for the project?
We're currently working through that process with them right now. So I think we're going to have some additional information for them regarding that process.
Based on the testimony, it appears from an email from Mr. Rogers and the conversations that you had with SHA that there's currently no funding for those roads that traverse the project site. What happens if their funds do become available during the life of the project?
During that conversation, Your Honor, they don't even know what area they would want to reserve right now because that design was done so many years ago. It would certainly change from what it is right now. So, you know, SHA was not in a position to even pick an area to possibly reserve. And so if funding became available, they've got to go do an entire engineering study and reevaluate the roads, Your Honor. So they just, you know, there was no way they could identify an area to reserve.
There are areas marked on the site plan, correct? That indicate
that is correct, Your Honor. The last design they had, those proposed areas are marked on the site plan, Your Honor.
There was on page 19 of the ERD a mention of another utility easement from the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. Are you familiar with that easement or in that section of the ERD? It may have been from witnesses Bauer and Hall that sponsored that section.
They might be more familiar with that. That didn't pose any problem with the construction of the site, though, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any questions in light of my questions?
No, ma'am.
Counsel? Okay.
Staff has no question.
Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Pippin.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Witnesses Hall and Bauer, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Witness Bauer, if you could just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Witness Hall?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And with respect to the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission utility easement that I just asked Mr. Witness Pippin about, are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Is there documentation from them that the project will not impact the easement, or?
We avoided the easement in the design. So to my knowledge, we have not affected their access and their ability to work within that easement.
With respect to the decommissioning plan, which is now marked as Exhibit 8 and the updated one marked Exhibit 13, Witness Hall and Bauer, I guess jointly sponsor the decommissioning plan. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The attachment, which contains the proposed bond, that was not prepared by you?
No, it was prepared by Stantec.
On page 4, section 3.1 of the decommissioning plan, section 3.1 discusses county permits and approvals that may be required. Do you know what types of permits that will be required by Prince George's County for decommissioning?
I know some of them. They'll have to get sediment and erosion control plans. They'll have to get grading permit if they have to restore something to its previous condition. I don't know that they'll have to do anything with the access. They typically leave the access with the improvements on it. I don't know what other permits would be needed. The key one is going to be the sediment and erosion control permit. Of course, we usually put something in the agreement which says we're just projecting that the agencies are what they are today, with the requirements being the same as they are today. So all of our responses to that, or what we wrote in the decommissioning plan, is anticipating that the same requirements would be in place, or whatever requirements are in place at the time that the decommissioning is performed.
On page 4, under section 3.2, which is at the bottom of that page, there's a section titled PV Equipment Removal and Recycling. States that during decommissioning, the project components that are no longer needed will be removed from the site and recycled or disposed of at an appropriately licensed disposal facility. Has a disposal facility been identified that will take the panels?
I believe Melissa may have to correct me, but I believe it's the landfill in PG County called Brown's Landfill.
Yes, in our document, we identified 2 different facilities.
Can you point to where that is?
Yes, so in our decommissioning plan under section 3.2, it's the first paragraph and second paragraph. We identified Brown Station Road landfill, which would accept the non-hazardous solar materials, and Sims Metal in Upper Marlboro, which would handle the steel and wiring.
Okay, is that that's not contained in the exhibit that's being offered today?
I don't think it was part of the Stantec. I think it was part of the H&B document.
I do not see that. in the updated plan that was filed? I'm going to ask council to please review that area and give me follow-up with supplementing the decommissioning plan with that information, because I don't see that in mine.
I think it may have been a data request as well.
Yeah, I've reviewed, Your Honor. The latest filing that we made does not include that detail. So it's possible, frankly, that there's a version control issue, but we'll review and make sure we file the latest and most up-to-date plan reflective of the witness's testimony today.
Okay, thank you. The locations were that were identified were they used to calculate transportation costs for salvage?
I believe so.
If you know.
Yeah, I believe so, because I do think Stantec's updated report should reference these two facilities.
Again, I'm going to ask council to follow up with that because I don't see that information included in the exhibits. On page 6 of the decommissioning plan, under section 3.7, it discusses a list of typical decommissioning tasks to be performed. The last bullet point is to seed and stabilize disturbed areas. The site will be reconditioned and left in a state consistent with the MDE voluntary cleanup program. No further requirements determination. Does Stantec account for the costs related to returning the site to restoring the site and any additional costs that may result from the MDE VCP status?
I don't know the answer to that question.
With respect to attachment A, which is the Stantec document, the document refers and attaches another document, which is an appraisal, which is marked as Appendix A, the We Recycle Solar Report. What do you know about We Recycle Solar?
Melissa, I think, knows that answer.
Yeah, I mean, well, so Stantec works with them, and they have been able to provide guarantees for the recycling components of the project.
And if you know, do you know how long they've been in business?
Not exactly. I know Stantec has used them on several decommissioning plans for our projects, but I do not know how long they've been in business.
Do you know whether they are the company that actually does the refurbishing and recycling?
I do not know.
Do you know how the transportation costs to the refurbisher in the Stantec report are calculated?
No, Your Honor.
It might help, Your Honor, to know that anything related to the third-party costs, we just insert into the umbrella agreement which we prepare. So we probably can't testify to any of their numbers.
A lot of my questions have to do with respect to how the costs are for transportation are calculated, and I'm assuming are beyond the scope of your
Yes.
involvement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any questions in light of my questions?
I don't have questions, Your Honor. I do have a proposal with respect to next steps on the decommissioning plan, if now's the appropriate time.
Go ahead.
I think what's happened is there's a version control issue. I think inadvertently, the latest version of the plan has not been filed in the docket. What I would propose is that we could confirm that after this evidentiary hearing, we could file the updated plan. And then to the extent Your Honor has additional questions, we could schedule a follow-up virtual evidentiary hearing, maybe the next week or so, where we can make all of our witnesses, including somebody from Stantec, available to answer your questions. But I want to make sure that we're able to answer all your questions related to the plan.
Okay. Okay, we'll hold the record open, and with respect to exhibits 8 and 13, we're going to hold off on admitting those into the record until we can get it sorted out as far as the versions of the decommissioning plan to make sure that all of the questions are answered.
Thank you, Your Honor.
PPRP. Witness Pico, present.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Okay. Do you know whether Prince George's County requires anything else from SHA regarding the easements that are on the project site?
I'm not aware of that. And the latest update I have was on the day that we had a meeting with SHA. It was a 3 parties meeting. And following the meeting, the applicant sent out a summary of the meeting, and I forwarded to him for final check. And he only make minor correction that is provided as attachment C2 of my supplemental testimony that was filed on April 25th. And normally I would just refer to the previous project that we, if there's any issue with the easement or right of way, SHA usually require the applicant to reflect those easement on their final site plan. That's why and then we checked with him, and he said, provided that there's no uncertainty on the budget, so he does not require any any indication of the easement on the site plan, and the applicant just proceed with the regular site plan that they will not normally develop for any project.
Is it your understanding, Witness Pippin said that there are still things in process with regard to the SHA approval? Is that your understanding as well?
I'm not aware that SHA would require any additional information, but I'm aware that the county, from their comment on the mandatory referral, mentioned that the applicant should, consult with SHA. But what my understanding is that the county planning board may not be aware of the meeting summary that was provided as attachment to my supplemental testimony, that Mr. Rogers has already concurred that there won't be any additional requirement.
Does PPRP have any concern about the utility easement?
Not that I'm aware of, as they already, reflected it on the site plan that they would avoid that area. And I did not see any additional information from the county planning board comment on that issue.
On page 21 of the PAR, there's the glare analysis with respect to the project. And it summarizes several receptors that will be receiving green glare. Can you please describe green glare?
Give me 1 second, please.
Sure. And I
I
believe
think we
it's
normally include the green glare. It might be on my testimony.
and you clarify in the PAR that there's no yellow glare predicted.
That is correct. I'm trying to give you the precise definition that we normally include it as part of our glare study.
Okay.
Can I just give you a generic description? Would that work, or I just
Yes,
can't?
if you could just describe green glare.
I don't think green glare is has the minor impact on visibility of the receptor, human receptor, and compared to yellow and red glare. So basically, in terms of hazard to the human eyes or the visibility, that seems that will have the very minor impact.
So regarding the points where there was green glare, PPRP is not recommending any further mitigation.
No, ma'am, because typically green glare is considered as a nuisance. It's not a hazardous. And in general, we do not recommend additional green glare mitigation if it's just a green glare. But if it were to be on the yellow range, we would require additional mitigation.
Thank you. With respect to the revised recommended licensing condition number 24, the landscape surety agreement, who is the surety payable to? Prince George's County?
I believe it is the county.
Okay. Does that amount need to be approved by the county?
Typically, yes. And that will go through the local permitting process.
In the revised recommended licensing conditions, it does not say who the bond is payable to or that the amount needs to be approved by the county.
No, we did not go into that specificity, and will normally be envision that would be concurred with the county, between the applicant and the county.
Your supplemental testimony discusses some of what transpired at the Prince George's County review level. with regard to their recommendations. On page 3, you discuss that they recommended coordinating with the fire department to ensure that the site driveway, internal access road, turnaround areas, and fire break areas have sufficient width and treatment for emergency vehicles. Should that be included as a recommended licensing condition from PPRP?
I believe we consider it as part of the fire safety. Solar PV fire safety. Number 27.
I see referenced National Fire Protection Association compliance and the code. I don't see anything about coordinating with the Prince George's County Fire Department.
Well, I mentioned that specifically to all the design, installation, and maintain the project, I would consider as part of the design. And on top of that, we have the local permit. County permits and approval, RLC number 6. That should capture that.
Page 4, you discuss the board's request that the applicant preserve what's left of Trump's Hill Road, which has some historical significance. Should that be included in one of the licensing conditions, or do you believe that that is covered?
I believe that it's covered and also at the county level, we do not have any specific requirement from MHT on this regard.
With respect to license condition number 30C, which is decommissioning, on page 6 of your corrected supplemental testimony, you state that the condition has been modified to remove county site plan approval, as it is not generally required by the county planning board. In the attachment to your testimony, as well as witness Pippin's, which would be the final recommendations of the county planning board, on page 16, it states that the application may require final approval from the Prince George's County Planning Department for decommissioning agreement and decommissioning bond. Can you explain the discrepancy?
Right. In the context of the decom plan, we removed that language because I believe it was envisioned that when we discussed the site plan under decom condition, it's meant for the final site plan approval. It's not, but then in the page 16 of mandatory referral document, it's mentioned site plan approval. It's not final site plan. It's general, maybe part of the site plan, stormwater management plan. And then in decom plan, the specific phrase that was removed was coming from the perspective of the final site plan approval. Although it's in general, and then I would refer to my discussion with the county planning board staff when they said like the county planning board does not require a final site plan approval. They just, any site plan that are relevant to specific, approval, like for example, stormwater management, forest conservation plan, that is considered site plan, but different type of site plan. But then they did not have to go back to the county planning board once they get each part of the site plan to get the final approval. They don't have that process. And it seems to be common for the project that will have to go through the mandatory referral. The reason I reached out to the planning board, PG County Planning Board for this question was that I got some comment from Montgomery County that has also required the applicant to go through the mandatory referral. Look like with that jurisdiction, they do not require the final site plan approval. However, the applicants still have to submit different type of site plan for approval with appropriate approval entities. Does that answer your question?
I'm not sure.
What I meant
let
was
me
like
rephrase. Is the county site plan approval different than approval of the decommissioning agreement and bond?
It is not. We are talking at two different level of approval. Can I just restart it? We talk about decommissioning plan agreement and bonding, stormwater management plan, and all in each forest conservation plan. All of these specific site plan approval that the county or appropriate entities will have to approve for the applicant. And then on the other, at another level, once you have all of these, you might have to go back to, typically the county will require you to come back for a final approval of the site plan when you have every pieces together. So in the project that is subject for mandatory referral for PG County, for example, they would not have the final process, but then they have to go to different approval entities with different type of site plan to get an accessory permit that is applicable for each item. Include decom plan is at that level, second tier, I would say.
So if I'm understanding, the approval of the decommissioning plan is part of the site plan approval?
It is not part of the site plan. It is part of the different approval, but it happened at, with the county planning staff, with the Department of Planning. It will not go back to the mandatory referral planning board for that type of approval. But it still does require approval.
Okay, if it still requires approval, then I don't understand why it was removed from the condition.
Or we can add it back if to provide more clarity.
And I think that's condition number 30C.
36.
30C.
Okay. I think, am I on the correct?
I see where following county site plan approval was removed, but if approval of the decommissioning plan and bond is something that Prince George's County requires, that's not included in condition number 30C.
My 30 is Department of Defense. I mean, 31C.
No, 30, condition 30. Hold on. Oh, 31. Yes, I'm sorry. On the revised.
Okay. We can provide the revised RLC.
With respect to the bench data request number 1 that was issued, I just wanted to clarify with PPRP, if the county doesn't have an ordinance regarding the decommissioning bond amount, or whether potential salvage revenues may be considered, PPRP is finding it reasonable to calculate the bond values based on the overhead management costs, contingency fund, calculated at 10% of the gross decommissioning cost, and estimated transportation cost of the modules to the refurbisher reseller, with a 2% annual inflation factor to all 3 elements. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If the owner abandons the project, how would the county or state recover the total cost of decommissioning?
I believe we would have to factor in the selling of the we have to factor in the salvage activities and get some revenue from that to cover the cost.
So the county or state would be responsible for
that.
Set for salvage of the components?
Correct. And we also have added the liquidated damage clause into that in the decommissioning plan as well, if that may help.
You said that that's in there?
31B. 31B.
Okay. Could there be additional costs for site restoration based on the site's voluntary cleanup status from MDE?
I'm not aware of that requirement, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any questions in light of my questions?
Just the question on the revised recommended licensing condition number 31C. Would Your Honor prefer for us to wait until the next evidentiary hearing so we can also review additional decommissioning?
I think that would
document?
probably be the best idea.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. I do have a bench data request number 2 for the parties. And if the parties agree, one response, agree on what the response is, one response is fine. I would request the amount of decommissioning bond excluding salvage revenue plus 125%. And what the decommissioning bond value would be with those caveats.
Just to make sure I got it, Your Honor, is that 120% or 125%?
125%.
Got it. Thank you.
As far as scheduling another hearing, I'm going to wait until I hear from counsel with supplemental decommissioning information. And I'd request that the BDR be responded to by Friday, May 23rd. And hopefully we can reschedule for another, if we need an additional testimony, additional hearing within the next week or two. And we will leave the record open. Are there any other issues that we have to address? Okay. Thank you very much. We can go off the record.
We're off the record, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Your
Thank you,
Honor.
Your Honor.